Serious, formerly homeless Redditors, what's the best way to go out and do a nice thing for homeless people? Socks and toiletries. If I only had enough for one or the other, I'd buy the bottle that let me sleep in a park over a tube of toothpaste. Priorities are different when you're on the street, and not always for the reasons you think. I was never ungrateful for food, but there were two major issues. The first being that if you pick a good spot, you'll get multiple food offers every day. I can only eat so much, folks. The second being that if you just give me food, I now have to safely store it. I'm freaking homeless, not gonna waste the crap. So, now I add it to my pack. If it's perishable, I have to eat that day old crap before the hot meal the next day. Still grateful, BTW, but also hoping that it doesn't get me robbed or something when I squat for the night. Being homeless can be like surviving the wasteland in that way. Maybe that's why I am so good at Fallout. Before this turns into an essay, I'll say just talk to them. Ignore anybody with a sign and no pack. They're doing this crap by choice, i.e., scamming. But if you see someone, just set your limits and ask what they need. Be open to reason. Storing and carrying food, for instance, if you approach a legit person in need, it's just about understanding. One time I asked a guy if he could spare any change. He said he wouldn't give money, but he'd buy me something I needed. So, I checked my pack and found myself okay. Not that I couldn't have used more, but you can only carry so much. So, I tried a compromise. I told him I was well equipped, but the truck stop up the road had showers. So, I asked if he could spare a ride and $2 in quarters. He thought about it for a sec, probably decided I couldn't get high on $2, and agreed. I got my first hot shower in months, and he made it happen by being willing to look past, at least somewhat, his initial assumptions' priorities. To this day, I have never enjoyed a shower more. I was homeless for a brief time. Showering was tough. It's not like you can carry shampoo and soap around, and there aren't tons of places to go. I would split a 5-minute shower at the L laundromat, $2.50. Kindness and humanity are the best thing you can offer, even a smile. Human interaction. I was homeless on and off for a couple of years as a teenager, and begging on the street is so dehumanizing. One time in Seattle, I'd arrived in the city and gotten lost trying to find a shelter or drop-in center. I hadn't eaten in 2 days and had barely slept. I stood on a corner with my bags begging for money, and not a single person would look at me. After a couple of hours of this, I started crying because I felt like a ghost, sobbing from my mental and physical exhaustion. Still, nobody would look at me or ask if I was okay. That day will always stay burned into my memory. As far as tangible objects, you can always ask them directly. Everyone will have different needs depending on where they're living and what has happened to them recently. Cigarettes, water, and transit cards are always good bets though. If it's getting cold, see if they have ways to keep warm. If it's in the rainy season, see if they have ways to keep dry. If it's hot, see if they have ways to stay cool. If they're female, tampons and pads are a freaking godsend. If they're human, ways to stay clean. I was homeless from age 18-19, and I remember always wishing I could just have a smoke with someone. I lived in a shelter, so I had as much food as I wanted, so that wasn't an issue. However, I was a smoker and wasn't able to come by my own smokes a lot of the time. So I'd see someone smoking and casually ask them, "Hey man, can I bum a smoke?" People are generally cool with that. Then I'd get to have a quick chat with someone while we had our cigarettes together. It may sound weird, but it means a lot to just be able to exchange a few words with a stranger when your whole life is up in the air and you can't decide if it's better to stay alive or just end it because your friends have drifted away from you since you became a hobo. Now that I'm not homeless anymore, I try to offer a smoke and a chat or some fast food or something, because I remember always wishing somebody would stop and talk to me. I had a real need for underwear and socks. You can wear pants and a t-shirt for a long time, but a week in the same socks and jocks makes it really miserable. When I got new ones, I felt kind of human again, like I could survive and maybe even get things together. Most of all, there is a bit of dignity and some respect. I was last on the streets when I was 19, and people seemed to think that I was some punk kid who didn't listen to his parents. I was beaten from room to room by a crazy mother and whoever she was dating, abused by her most consistent boyfriend, expelled from school for acting out, kicked out of home at 12, and had been stealing food to survive when I wasn't living in uncaring group homes. People told me to grow up and that I had no life experience, like they had experienced anything like me. Few people ever seemed to listen and even try to understand. I wasn't a drug addicted scumbag. I was a young man with no support and a lot of baggage. Seriously, sometimes the best thing you can do for a homeless person is call them sir, shake their hand, make eye contact, and treat them with dignity befitting a human. I'm currently homeless in Southern California, so the weather isn't too much of an issue, but it can get cold late at night, so a sleeping bag is a godsend. One of the things I can never get enough of is hand sanitizer and wet wipes. I'm the type that is still trying to look normal while I'm job searching, so staying relatively clean is important. Since I live in a tent in a forest by the beach, it's not easy. Another thing is that even if someone has food stamps, odds are you can't get anything hot to eat. So even if it's something like a hot dog or hamburger, it's at least something different from the same cold food you have to get at the gas station over and over again. Well, I am currently homeless. It isn't easy at all. I have only been homeless for about a month or so. I would say the best thing anyone has done for me was socks and an old sleeping bag. Also, I do odd jobs for anyone that will let me so I can eat, but once you start looking scruffy and smelling a little off, lack of showers, I try to bath at night in lakes, ponds. It is a lot harder to find anything. Also, razors, sandy towels, and deodorant are great. Another good thing is just simply talking to people. Don't give food with the condition of religion. I spent a month homeless, and still technically am till I can move into my new apartment, and this was something I kept on encountering. I'd have to swallow many sermons before I could get a sandwich. I was living in hotels and in a friend's car for about a week in the summer in southern AZ when crap went to heck. That itself was one of the hardest weeks of my life. I've noticed that in a hot climate, people appreciate bottled water more than anything else you can give them, and even if you can give just $1 and wish them well, they will be grateful to you for it. Privacy. Seriously, just privacy. I wasn't stoked to be in that position. I get that security guards have jobs, and that people shouldn't sleep in their cars, but a well-lit parking lot is safer. If I'm not making noise and I'm asleep, just leave me alone. Actually treat them like humans. They're down on their luck at this point in their life, a point that any of us could someday be at. The least you could do is treat them with the dignity you would hope to be treated with, were you in that situation. A public shower, some clean clothes, a laundromat card, detergent, and a way to get online in the library to find work, a bus card, breakfast, lunch, dinner, vitamins, and a $20 bill. That was warm weather. Now that the cold is here, a warm hooded coat, a backpack with Lysol spray and personal care items, a food card from McDonald's, and a paid cell phone. You have been visited by Moneybird. Upvote in 5,861 seconds and you will get rich. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.